Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, would-be first gentleman, Kamala Harris's husband, has found himself at the center of a major scandal. Just days after MSNBC and Jen Psaki, the former spokesman for Joe Biden, gave him this fluffy interview.
There's also been an important part, or an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here, is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the right thing to do.
Even if there weren't a scandal, well, there had already been the previous scandal, widely reported that Doug Emhoff impregnated his nanny while he was married, obviously with children. And there was some question as to whether the woman miscarried, there were a lot of questions that went along with that scandal in itself. But then that kind of went away, and the perception of Doug Emhoff went back to the classic new perception of masculinity, meaning not masculinity. It's sort of like politically correct means not correct, or undocumented American means not an American. Well, in this case, the new perception of masculinity means not masculinity. And so he's been mocked for this. But then a scandal came out that actually undermined the notion that this guy is a huge beta, namely that he's this tryst with his nanny was not his only example of womanizing. And actually, the present scandal goes beyond womanizing. It gets pretty dark. There's an allegation here that he smacked a woman across the face and spun her around in a jealous rage. Not revealing private sins. This is just what's being reported. Who knows? It could be tabloid nonsense, but it puts Emhoff and Kamala in the Democrats in a really bad position. But it shows you a really important truth about the way in which liberals have tried to redefine masculinity. There's so much more to say. First, though, go to goodranchers.com/Knowles. As we approach the upcoming election, let me remind you, your voice is not just heard at the ballot box every 4 years. You cast a vote every single day with your dollar. That is why I trust Good Ranchers for all my meat. It's time to say goodbye to mystery meat pumped full of who knows what from who knows where. With Good Ranchers sourcing all their meat exclusively from American farms, you're getting 100% American meat. No antibiotics, no added hormones, definitely no seed oils, just pure steakhouse quality cuts that'll make you wonder why you ever settled for less. Right now, Good Ranchers is having a presidential promo. For a limited time, you can get a free add-on for a whole 4 years. That means when you subscribe to any of their boxes, you get to decide if you want extra plain chicken breasts, Angus ground beef, Applewood smoked bacon, or wild-caught salmon in every order for 4 years. Now, if you want to taste how I eat, you got to get the Michael Knowles custom Good Ranchers box. Go to goodranchers.com/Knowles right now. Use promo code Knowles. You will get the presidential promo worth over $1,200. You will get 100% American meat, and you will get the Knowles box. So you get to eat like me, eating all that sweet, delicious, sweet little Elisa food. Goodranchers.com. American meat delivered. The libs are looking at this Doug Emhoff scandal as, even some Republicans, I think, are looking at this as a contradiction between two. Hold on, is Doug Emhoff this big beta soy boy, weak male, or is he some knuckle dragging, Stanley Kowalski brute vis-a-vis women? And the secret is, they're the same guy. Corporate wants you to show me the difference between these pictures. They're the same picture. The new perception of masculinity that the liberals have been pushing for decades. It's not just Jen Psaki. It's not just Doug Emhoff. It's decades now. We've heard that traditional masculinity is toxic, and we need men to be more sensitive, and we need men to be more effeminate, and we need men to be weaker, and we need men to be more, squishier and softer and more sympathetic or something. We've been told that'll be a really good thing. Those are the guys. Those are the guys that smack their woman around in a jealous rage. Those are the guys that knock up the nanny because they have no discipline and clarity when it comes to the meaning of marriage. Those are the guys. It's a fallen world. All sorts of people make mistakes. But those are the guys who are going to be much more inclined to do that. A man who acts more like a woman, a man who is not manly, is not going to be a better man. He's going to be the worst kind of man. He's going to have all the worst attributes of a man with none of the good attributes of a man. Because manliness entails honor, it entails sacrifice, it entails leadership, it entails moral clarity, it entails virtue. The word virtue comes from the word vir, it comes from the word that means man. It entails restraint, it entails all these things. And the kind of man that Jen Psaki and libs of the world have been encouraging for decades now is a man who doesn't have clarity. You know, he just thinks, it is what it is, man, and don't yuck my yum, and whatever people believe, there's no such thing as objective truth. It's a man who is not restrained. He's just going to do what he wants to do. You know, he's got to pursue his true, authentic self, totally divorced from reason. It's not going to be a man who's takes marriage seriously. He's not going to be monogamous. He's too progressive and forward-thinking for that. He's going to be a man who's in touch with his emotions. The traditional man, the strong, silent type, when he's feeling a case of the feels, he keeps his mouth shut and he does his job. And he processes his emotions in a traditional way that doesn't burden other people. The new modern male, he's really in touch with his feelings. Okay, well, if the story about Doug Emhoff is true, he was really in touch with his feelings when he was waiting out line, smacking his girlfriend around. He was feeling a lot. He wasn't being very reasonable, but he was giving free rein to his feelings. You want a society of feelings? That's what you get. That is the new perception of man. Okay, and I think when we actually get a look at these things, not papered over by the saccharine euphemisms of the left, but when we get to see these things in their reality, people aren't going to like it. Is it any wonder then that Kamala Harris is struggling with men? Democrats are freaking out over this. You don't need to take my word for it, or the Daily Wire's word for it, or the Blaze, or Fox News, or anything else. Here's MSNBC on the man problem.
But it's men. I mean, I think the real struggle for the Harris campaign is young men, older men, men of color, white men.
That is the real struggle. Absolutely right. How's she going to fix that? She ain't going to fix it with Doug Emhoff. She ain't going to fix it with Tim Walz. Tim Walz coming out there. I mean, it was one of the clips that went viral from the campaign. I don't think we pulled it for the show today, where Tim Walz is trying to explain his lie about Tiananmen Square. And he says, you know, I'm just kind of a knucklehead. You know me? In another clip, he goes, I'm just an old guy. I think, okay, you think you're being humble. True humility is a good thing. I'm skeptical that that's true humility. I think that might be false modesty, which is really a species of pride. But regardless, whether it's sincere or artificial, you are running to be the vice president of the United States, one heartbeat away from the presidency. Take yourself seriously. Okay, have a little bit of sobriety. Have a little dignity. Have a little confidence. How about you act like a man? How about you try that? You want to win male voters over? You want to win female voters over, for that matter, who are reasonable women? How about you act like a man when you are a man? That's going to be more effective. That was a good clip. Now hold up, ring the bell, subscribe. Hey. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.